Yay. Okay. Welcome. I've actually asked Brittany to tell her story and kind of share a little bit about her journey with us this week. I feel like it's super important to hear all different types of perspectives from different coaches and just coming into this business and, you know, your wellness journey from different places, because we're all so different and unique. And I think sometimes we get caught up in thinking that our story is insignificant or that no one's going to connect with us. So that's kind of where my mind's been at by asking, you know, coaches on our team to talk. It really helps us. And like, to be honest with you guys, I always learn something from new coaches too. So I think that this is awesome. I'm not saying Brittany's a new coach, but just coaches in general. We can always learn something from one another. So I'm trying to mute everybody that way. Oh my God, it's not giving me the option. Okay. Brittany, I don't have anything else to say. I just want to hear what you have to say, and I don't want to use up all your time. So I'm going to mute myself. You're already unmuted. So.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely do feel like I can learn a lot from other coaches, and I think it's cool that you asked me to be on here. A lot of the stuff, because I thought about it and I was like, I don't really know what kind of value I can offer to the team, but I realized a lot of it is mental for me and not so much like business, because I'm finally just now seeing some success in my business because of the actions I'm taking. So a lot of it has been just mental mindset type deal stuff. So that's probably what I'm going to talk about most. Okay. I'm really nervous, so I don't know why. I just like, I don't know. I'm very awkward. So I guess I'll start with like how I kind of came to Beachbody and stuff. I've actually been a coach for, I think, 2 years. I'm not sure yet, 2 years. But I never did anything with it. I was one of those coaches that signed up and was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. But mentally, like, I didn't have that belief yet, and I think that's what kind of like held me back for so long. So I would dabble a little bit, you know, I'd maybe push play one day, maybe push play another day, kind of share about it, but not really like, you know, try to my full capacity. And I think that I finally just had a breakthrough this year, you know, light bulb moment, and it was all like a mental mindset thing, because as soon as I got my mind in the game, everything totally changed for me. And, you know, I'm finally starting to see some business growth. So back in 2015, I was working for a construction company that made me miserable. I worked Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and I had a boss who made a lot of sexual, you know, innuendo jokes, and would also comment on, like, you know, these scars I have from cystic acne. He actually one time would asked me, what did he say? Why my face looked like I scrubbed it with a brick, was his words. So, and that was just, I mean, that's just like a tiny example, but like constantly I would go to this job and I would have to hear all these little comments and all these little like degrading things. And every single day I went there and I was miserable because I sat in a box and there was one window and the window was tinted. So if I wanted to even see any bit of sunshine, I had to like go outside, which I wasn't allowed to do. So on my lunch break, I would literally drive 2 streets over down from my work to a spot where nobody could really see me, you know, and I could just like roll down my windows and hang. And sometimes I'd cry. Like it was ridiculous. I was really sad and very depressed. And I remember like sitting in my car on Facebook, you know, on lunch break one time and like talking to Candace, and like I don't even know, I'm sure like you friend requested me out, I'm a coach, I see how it works, like, but I don't know, I started seeing you and I was like, why is she so happy? What the hell? and I, you know, naturally like we're drawn to that kind of thing, and like I don't know if I reached out or you reached out, but nonetheless, like I found out about the opportunity, and I was one of those people who like research the crap out of everything. I'm Capricorn and a natural like OCD tendency introvert. So I over research everything. You know, I was on Google like, no, this is bullshit. Like there's no way. By the way, if you have kids around, like earmuffs, I will try not to drop any F-bombs, but no guarantees because I'm really bad at that. So I don't know, I researched the crap out of it, and it took me a really long time to actually like move forward with it. And then once I did, even though, you know, even still, I saw like what Candace was doing and all the success she had, and I wanted that, but I don't think that I had like the mental capability to actually achieve it. And so like I said, I dabbled a little bit. I ended up getting a different job. I kind of was doing that whole personal development thing. I dove in a little bit that way. I started reading, and that helped me a lot. And I started saying, I can get a different job. And so I started interviewing, and I did get a different job, something that was a little bit better. I worked there for, I think, like 6 months, and I ended up getting laid off because they closed. So I went through this like super bad cycle of depression where the place that I had lived in for 4.5 years, I had to move. And I moved to this like tiny little, apartment in the worst neighborhood. And I didn't have a job. I had to get a part-time job. And I rushed into the first thing I could get. And that was for an HVAC company where I worked in the back of a shop, like with the door, like no windows, literally, in like a room smaller than what I'm in right now. And I was just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And literally, I used to, on Mondays, because I was the only person that worked there, on Mondays, I would turn the phone volume down at work, at the job, and I would like look and like, watch the door. But I would get on the national wake-up call on my phone, and I would listen to the national wake-up call and all these Beachbody coaches and everybody talking about, how happy they are and seeing all this recognition and stuff. And again, like really, I never like stopped being engaged in Beachbody and like having that dream, but I didn't see myself fulfilling that dream. And I think that's what the problem was. Also, like physically, I've heard, I think for so many years that, oh, you're already skinny, or oh, you look fine, like you're not fat. And it's like, I don't think I'm fat, and people would always just assume or take it to somewhere that I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that instilled a little bit of like something in me to where I didn't really believe like how much could my body really change, all these people kept saying, you're fine, you're skinny, you're fine. And so in my head, I don't think that I really believed that I had that much room for change, like physically either. And I think that kind of held me back a lot because I do a couple workouts and I'm like, yeah, okay, like I'm not as bloated, cool, like this must be as good as it gets, and then I'd quit. That's stupid. Let's see, I wrote notes because that's how I am. So I don't know, most of what I've dealt with is a lot of personal growth, and I think that this year I just had something click in me. I created a vision board, which I think was huge. And I printed out a little picture of, Coach Summit, and I put it on there, and I put all this stuff on there. And I had one of these days where I was just like, I was reading my book and I was feeling really shitty. And I'm like, okay, like I want to do this, I'm like, what am I doing? Because I guess I need to backtrack a little bit. Sorry, guys. After that one job that I got laid off from and I worked at that stupid little office, I finally got a corporate job working for Anheuser-Busch. They were paying me really good money, like the most money I've made in my entire life to work for them. I didn't really have to do a whole lot except for travel and go talk to people. But I didn't like having to drive around all the time and having to be on somebody else's schedule and, going around like selling shit that I don't really care about. So that was all fine and dandy until I got laid off from that job right before Christmas Eve. So I literally had this huge mental breakdown, this last Christmas because I was like, well, what am I going to do? I have an entire household to run, and I, lost like $2,900 in income a month, which is a lot of freaking money for one person. And I literally, I reflected on it that same day, and I had this, epiphany. I was like, the old me, the first thing I would have done was, rush to the first full-time job I could get, rush to the first job that's going to pay me anything, pay my bills. I don't care if it's going to make me happy or not. That's just my mindset. Gotta work, gotta pay my bills. That's how everybody is mostly in society. It's just the way. You wake up, go to work to die, basically. And still stay broke. So I was working a part-time job at the bar 4 nights a week, and I was like, I'm gonna work there couple times part-time, and I'm not going to go back to working full-time. I refuse. Like, I don't want to go back to an office. So I told myself, I said, either you're going to fucking try with coaching, you're going to try and you're going to do something, or you're just going to sit around and be, you know, one of those people who's like wondering what if all the time. And you're going to go back to working in a freaking box where you're miserable and unhappy. So instead of doing that, you know, I took the leap, and in January, it's been nice. Like I said, I'm just barely making, you know, some progress in my business, but I have made enough over, I'm losing my voice, over the last couple of months to cover things like groceries, you know, to cover gas, like all that extra stuff that, that I needed has been provided. And that's been a big, like, part of my mental mindset, is just that I keep saying, like, the universe will provide, you know, like, it's going to happen, because I know that, you know, we're not meant to like be here and live and then die. Like, I feel like I'm here for a grander purpose, and like being part of this community and stuff is, you know, proof of that. Like, it's amazing. And we have such an opportunity here, and I just, you know, I don't want to miss out. And so I wrote down 3 things. I was hoping to come up with something, you know, to provide some sort of value to this call, because like I said, I don't have any technical stuff to tell you yet, except that I'm definitely a student. I research a lot. I listen to a lot of, this is annoying. I listen to a lot of videos, and I figure shit out, you know? So I wrote down 3 things that I thought were good bullet points, and I didn't realize that they all have cuss words in them, but I was like in my car earlier talking to Candace, and I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3. So I got 3 things. Number 1 is do the shit, because the second I decided to commit to a workout program, and I don't mean like do one goddamn workout or work out for a week and then quit. When I actually committed and I did the shit, like, I felt good and I radiated that, you know, and I wanted to talk about it, and I was just happier, and my relationships started to thrive, and like my communication with people was much more natural. So I think that that's like most important for me, like always be a bomb ass challenger, and a good student. Like, if you have a question or you don't know how to do something, that, like, Candace has so much training. I've just been like nerding out on the training, and all the different things that there are. Like, there's so much information. Like, look at it, soak it up, you know. Number 2 is give no fucks, because I think that, like, I have a huge problem being vulnerable, and I always have. Like, I've just built up this wall, and I have a very like small circle of people that I let in. You know, everybody else, it's like I'm very cordial, and like I can be social, but you know, if you ask me one little personal question, I'm like, ugh, who the fuck are you? Like, go away. Like, scary. Red lights, you know, sirens and stuff. Like, I hate it. I don't like letting people get close to me. So this job has been super challenging for me to, you know, break out of that. And that's been by far the hardest thing for me, because I would sit there and I would have something that I thought would be a great post, but instead of just posting it and going with it and giving no fucks, I would overthink it and overanalyze. And I'd be like, oh, well, this isn't perfect, or, oh, well, this little thing, or, oh, well, you know, I got like a hair sticking this direction in that picture. Like, I don't know. I would find any excuse to not do it, you know, to not be vulnerable. Like, it didn't matter what it was. It felt better in my little box. Which is funny, because when you start to actually do the shit and give no fucks, like, it changes. Something in there changes. Like, I get excited to post. I'm excited for this call. Nervous, actually. Like, when Candace, just side note real quick, Candace texted me last week, and I literally opened my phone and I said, what are you doing next Tuesday at 5:30? And I looked at my boyfriend with his face, and I said, holy fuck, she's going to ask me to be a guest speaker on the call. And I was like, oh God, okay, I can do this, you know? And I was super nervous, but I'm like super excited, because it's one of those things, like, when you start to actually put yourself out there and you start to be vulnerable, and you don't give a fuck, like, what anybody else is going to say or what anybody else is going to think, like, it starts to be hindering. And I think that's kind of beautiful. So give no fucks. Also, society, like, definitely has this norm, you know, like social media also has a stigma attached to it. So a lot of people think it's a very negative place. And when you step out of that and you share anything that's different, people automatically think it's weird, you know, automatically like have something to say about it, you know. So that's just because you're doing something different from the norm and it makes certain people uncomfortable because they haven't been able to do that. It's not personal, you know. Number 3 is my favorite because I've been obsessed with the word authentic. Lately, I just feel like, you know, I've never been a salesperson. I've turned down sales jobs in the past, FYI, because I am so introvert. And I can't just be like, look, like, buy this. You know, if I don't believe in something, I have no words. Like, I have to believe in something to have content for it. And so, for this, like, just being super authentic, it was be authentic as fuck was number 3 on the list. But I've just been leading with authenticity, you know, like, I'm doing my thing, I'm showing up, and the people that I'm talking to, I'm genuinely being interested and genuinely telling them, you know, how I feel about things. But at the same time, I'm not attaching any sort of outcome to it. You know, so I'm talking to all these people and I want to help people and I'll do whatever I can to do that. And I'm still going to do my journey, but I'm not going to have like the one person who doesn't get it or doesn't get me or isn't, you know, my energy, like, be like, oh, well, God, you know, nobody wants to join me. And oh, shit, well, that person thinks they looked better before, so I guess I'm going to give up on it. Candace, you're laughing too much. So I think that if you're just like super real and super authentic, like, be yourself, because there are who said this? Was it you, Haley? Like, I don't even know. Somebody said this recently that was like, there's always somebody who will only connect with just you. Maybe it was Brittany, I think. Brittany Romines. Somebody said that recently. Anyways, that really like clicked with me because I was like, holy shit, like, that's totally right. Like, there are so many people out there, but there are specifically only people out there that will connect with just you and who you are and you know, how you are as a person. So just, you know, be real as shit. Yeah. So that's all I had. I don't know if you have any questions or anything, Candace.
No, that was great. I really, really, really appreciate you sharing. I know how it can be like speaking in front of people, but it's really cool because we get to practice in front of people that love us. You know, I mean, Facebook Live is great, but we're like, what are we going to get? We don't know.
And I can see faces too, which is nice. Because Facebook Live, it's just like out in the universe.
One thing I wanted to say was that it's really crazy when you say you don't know how like we connected. And I know me doing my job, I was just adding people, but I remember going to your profile, you guys, and like Brittany's profile picture was like this professional image done. It was like a model photo, and it was like her in this red-ish, like everything was red, and you look like kind of like a geisha or something like that, or geisha or whatever.
I know what picture you're talking about.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. It stood out to me. I'll never forget it because I looked at that photo and I thought, oh my God, she is so awesome. And then I was like, she's not going to accept my friend request, because I thought in my own head that she was like, she was way too cool for me. Like, she's not going to accept my friend request. She's way too cool. And then I was like, I'm not even going to send it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to send it anyway. So I did. And it's funny because she accepted it. And then somehow I wasn't like messaging her like crazy. I don't even think I was messaging people that accepted my friend request back then. I was just doing my job. And I think she messaged me, and then we just started talking because I think I was obsessed with like every photo that you took because they were so great. I was like, oh my gosh, I love how she expresses herself. I want to know her. But to be honest with you, I thought she wouldn't even give me the time of day. I was like, this girl's way too cool. She's not going to talk to me. And it's crazy because once we actually got to know each other, we were like, we're so much alike. It literally blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God, like the universe does connect us to the people that we need to be connected with. Like, we have the same energies, you know, and obviously like we've been together like it's a relationship, right? Like for like, for like 2 years now, which is crazy. But like she said, like everybody comes into this journey like in different places, and I mean, she's been on her journey, mental and physical, just everything for 2 years now. Like, so, I mean, it's fine. Like, it's fine if, like, we just have to do the work and do the shit. Like you said, like, we just have to do the shit. And one day it clicked for you and you just decided to do the shit. And now you're not looking back. And now I'm just going to harass you and make you keep doing the shit.
Please do. Please do.
Right?
It's funny because I thought you were the cool kid. And I was like, man, why is she so happy? I want to be happy like her.
Isn't that so crazy? Because we don't know, like, and then we're connected, and then it's just like, it's like our own little love story.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I wish I had like a pen and paper, because you said a couple things that I wanted to add to, but I'm totally brain farting right now. I'm like sweating balls. Like, I wasn't even the one talking, and I'm already like, just like being on video and this stuff still makes me feel like this. Like, I'm excited, but I'm totally like sweating. And it wasn't even me. But, man, I was going to ask you a question. Does anyone have any questions or anything to add to that, or anything that sparked your thought while I think about mine? You can unmute because I'm not looking. Dang. I can't remember. It's funny because we're all such strong introverts. We're like, we'll probably have questions and comments like tomorrow.
Yeah, take it all in and think about it and then come back later.
Right? But then we'll all overanalyze it and be like, that's a stupid question, and not ask it.
Been there.
Can I talk?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay. I just wanted to say that I could really relate to you when you were talking about mindset, because I feel like I had that click at the retreat. Like, I wanted it so bad, but I didn't have the belief until the retreat. And I felt like I just kept telling everyone, like, I was crying the whole time because it finally clicked in my head and I could feel it. So I just wanted to say, like, I totally can relate to that. It's such a mindset thing. And once you have that click, like, you'll feel it. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, totally. It is like a light bulb moment, you know? It's just weird, like a switch, like somebody just like what have you been doing, you know? Believe in your damn self.
And you know what's crazy is that we have those like forever that we're on this journey. Like, I still have them. Like, you know, how I was not doing like sneak peeks and not doing trainings, and then one day it just clicked. Like, oh, that's what I need to do. Duh. Like, you never stop growing. Like Brittany said, always a student. And we always can learn something from each other, you know, just because like some of us have been doing this longer than the others doesn't mean that like we know everything. I don't think any of us will ever know everything. And everybody has such different perspectives. And like Haley had said last week, like your story, you know, there's only certain people that will relate to only you. And that's the same like in this, you know, business opportunity too. Like, by you sharing something different, you can open, you know, people's eyes to a whole different perspective maybe that they didn't even consider. So always coachable, always a student, and you will always be successful in life. I mean, really.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like, I wanted to say, like, the people too, that how I was talking about, you know, not to get offended when people don't want to join you. Like, that also goes hand in hand. Like, one thing I've been noticing recently is I've been expanding my network, you know, like reaching out to people and talking to people, like just sending messages, because that's part of growing the business. And I've just been sucking it up and doing it, you know, like sometimes it's awkward and people don't respond, or, you know, they think I'm a creep and they're like, okay, bye, which is fine. But you'd be surprised at how many people I like reach out to, and I'm just like, hey, blah, 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 like connect with them and just send some love, you know, and then they come back with, oh, you know, I've been thinking about reaching out to you or something, or like they have some sort of involvement in your story, you know, which is kind of cool. So just gotta talk to the people.
Yeah, it like we said last week too, if you don't invite someone, you know, that you were kind of thinking of or whatever, someone else will. And that's so true. I just brain farted, but I had something I wanted to say. Please forgive me.
Forgiven.
Quick.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about like authenticity, that was one that was really a struggle for me, and I appreciate that everyone's been talking about it recently. because I just recently started like talking more about my bipolar journey on my social media. Sorry, I'm moving to a quieter room. And a lot of people have been reaching out to me since then. Like ever since I started talking about like my struggles with bipolar disorder and like how I deal with them, a lot of people have been reaching out. Because I was afraid to be authentic about that for a long time because I didn't know how to approach it in a positive way. You know what I mean? To talk about it without sounding like a negative Nancy. But yeah, I just like appreciate everybody. It's out of nowhere. I've been noticing it, I guess. And it kind of makes me feel like less of a weirdo if I'm not the only one like trying to be real on social media, you know?
The thing too, like when you are authentic with people and you just have the balls to do it, it changes, it changes your belief and you start to become a lot more like empowered by that, and it becomes a really positive thing instead of something that you are debating on, or struggling with. It starts to become something that's like, okay, yay, like I can share this and I know that there's going to be people out there who get me, who can relate. Like I'm going to touch somebody. And I think that's a really cool feeling.
Absolutely. Your that quote that Brené Brown, I think, says like owning your story and loving yourself through it. It's really powerful. Something I was talking to one of my success partners today, Haley Christian, about is reaching out. Like we're at the point in our business where we need to reach out to people and kind of hand select people that we want to work with, and we need to do it daily. And we were like, ooh, because like we haven't done that in a long time because we're at a different point in our business now than when we were when we first started. And we were talking about being real with people and just authentic and like not trying to beat around the bush. And so I explained to her this movie or this little thing I had watched from one of my coaching trainings where this guy goes into like a burger joint. He orders a burger and fries, and then he gets up and he goes and asks for a refill on the burger, and they just look at him like, what? And he's like, well, can I get a refill? Because it was his mission. He wanted to get 100 no's or something so he could like get over the fact of being, fearing rejection. So he went for things he thinks people would say no to, and then he talked to them about it. So he was like, can I get a refill on my burger? And they're like, no, we don't do that here. And he's like, what do you mean? And then the guy just stood there and like looked at him like he's a freak. And then he acknowledged that feeling like, hey, was that weird? And then the guy was like, yeah, that was so weird. Like nobody's ever asked me that before. So I think that we can apply that to our conversations. If we say something to someone like that we reach out to, this is so random, but it came to my head. When I reach out to someone and I'm like, hey, like, I don't know if this is weird or not, but like, you seem like a badass girl and I would love to work together. Like, and then they don't say anything and then it's silent. You're like, hey, was that weird? Like, did I offend you? Like asking questions and bringing it back to like human. So we don't seem like, does that make sense? Kind of being like, back to humility. Like, so we can be like, hey, was that weird? Did I say something wrong? Did I offend you? And it gives like us being authentic, but then it's like an open conversation to make them comfortable to be like, yeah, it was actually really weird because no one's ever asked me that before. And you're like, yeah, I actually felt that way too, kind of when I was a new coach. And then you're like connecting. Like, does that make sense? I don't know why I shared that. It came to my mind. But I think it goes kind of hand in hand with being authentic, is just being like, we don't need to put on an act when we talk to people. Like, I was telling her how I would ask someone like, hey, like, you look like a badass girl. You're already into fitness. I would love to like work together. I know this is weird. You're probably like, what do you mean work together? And I'm like, I'm married, so I don't really know how to do dating. And this is kind of like dating. So, I mean, and she's like, oh my God, you would say that? And I was like, yeah, because like, that's me being authentic and real and weird and funny and nerdy and whatever. So.
Totally. That's the thing. Is like, if you just come from a place of real, like, you don't have to think about like the perfect thing to say, and that goes for like posts or conversations or whatever. Like, you don't have to think about what's going to be the right thing to say, what's going to be the perfect picture, because if you just put it out there and you say it and you're 100% true to yourself and how you feel and what you think, then you're going to attract the right kind of people. And the people who have a problem with that or aren't your energy, like, delete, whatever, like make room for more energy that, aligns better with what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. And it's like in the Go for No book, if anyone's reading that, it's like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So like, as long as we're 100% authentically ourselves, our energy in our intention will be received, and we can fix the words later, right? Like as we go and we get feedback from people. But I found that to be so true, because I bet you anything, when Brittany and I were first talking and I talked to her about coaching, I bet I said all kinds of weird stuff because I was a new coach, right? I didn't know what I was doing, but she's still here. She was the right person, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But I mean, does anyone else have any thoughts to add? I really appreciate thoughts. Thank you for saying that, Chelsea. All right. Well, if anyone has any more questions or thoughts or anything, add to the thread in our page. I'm going to post this recording. If any of the coaches that you invited couldn't watch it, tag them on it. And again, Brittany, I know it was out of your comfort zone, so I really appreciate you doing this. Like, I absolutely love hearing from you guys, even though I know your stories. I love it, and it feels so good just to see you grow and flourish and seriously just own life. So I hope we can do this way more, and I hope everyone else, feels the same.
Definitely. Thanks for the push, coach.
All right. I love you guys, and I will see you all soon. Mwah! Bye.